About 2 months ago, I made a video essay analyzing the character arc of Korvo from Solar Opposites. In that video, I mentioned that I might make a follow-up depending on what happened in Season 6, which hadn't come out at the time. Well, Season 6 has been out for exactly a month now, and this is the promised follow-up. I strongly recommend that you watch my previous video before this one if you haven't already. Not only is it significantly more polished and probably better, but I'll be touching on a few ideas from that video in this one. Consider this the extra credit addition to the Korvo video. Also, spoilers for Season 6. With that being said, let's get right into my Solar Opposites Season 6 analysis. Let's begin with Korvo. As we know, Korvo has already gone through a pretty significant character arc through the previous 5 seasons. He went from someone who cared primarily about his mission to someone who prioritized his life on Earth with his family. Great. However, that means his character arc was mostly done, leaving him a fairly realized character by the beginning of Season 6. Thus, this season serves as kind of a victory lap for Korvo, where he can enjoy living on Earth with his family. This isn't a bad thing, of course. After his whole arc, it's pretty satisfying to get to see this character happy and in his element. Nonetheless, Korvo does take a bit of a back seat in this season, with the exception of one episode. Season 6, Episode 9, The Googlius and the Proto-Schlorpian, doesn't seem like a big episode for Korvo at first. Instead, it follows Terry training for a swear-off and the replicants posing as bullies. These plots are abruptly halted, however, when Korvo gets the chance to basically speedrun the planet's terraformation, essentially completing the mission in one fell swoop. In doing this, Korvo is faced with a question he has been facing the whole series. Does he choose his mission or his family? Indeed, in this decision lies the final piece of the puzzle that is Korvo's character development. Although Korvo has realized his needs, the mission still served as an ongoing presence in his life. But this moment is special because it is the most decisive end to this conflict. Korvo chooses his family, as he has many times before, but in the process permanently prevents the pupa from terraforming the Earth, ending the mission for good. And with the mission over, Korvo's needs are fully realized. His arc is finally complete. So yeah, that's the follow-up to my previous video. Korvo's character arc was pretty much done by Season 5, and this season basically just solidified it. End of video, right? Well, not exactly. As I was rewatching this season, I noticed some pretty interesting patterns. The end of Korvo's character arc is just one of multiple explorations of this season's big question. That being, what defines the Solar Opposites? This season explores this question by stretching the status quo, redefining its characters, and clarifying its episodic formula, all of which fundamentally reveal what lies at the heart of this show and its characters. Let's start with that first bit, stretching the status quo. This season removes some major elements of the Solar Opposites' life that both the characters and the audience have previously taken for granted. More specifically, the first episode includes the destruction of the money-making machines, and the second episode sees the Solar Opposites selling all of their sci-fi stuff. These plot points have fairly significant implications on the rest of the season, as the characters have to adjust to a brand new, broke, non-sci-fi life. In other words, the Solar Opposites are forced to approach the world very differently to how they did in the previous seasons. Their status quo has been fundamentally changed, but the show goes on. The characters still get into crazy adventures like they always did, even though major elements of their lives that had been there since the start were changed. Thus, it is clear that these characters are not defined by those material things, not their unlimited supply of money, nor their science fiction technology. This season doesn't just subvert the status quo when it comes to its plot and setting, it also redefines its characters. One example of this is Terry. With Korvo kind of on the back burner, Terry gets multiple episodes where he becomes the main focus. Although he as a character has mostly served as comedic relief, in this season we get to see Terry lead some stories. We get to see how many of his traits, his short-sightedness, his shallowness, his immaturity, cause him problems that he has to overcome. This focus on Terry allows his character to be taken a bit more seriously than before, challenging him and pushing him to go through some growth. This season thus utilizes Terry in new ways and shows new sides of his character. And perhaps an even bigger subversion is with Jesse and Yumulak, who become
try-hard, smart kids!
We get to see how the replicants act as they get along with their teachers, participate in mock trial, and act as co-class presidents. Even Yumulak is well behaved, for the most part. This is a pretty significant change. Think back to previous seasons. Both Jesse and Yumulak were very much defined by their loser status. And yet, even though such major elements of these characters are subverted, the show still continues and retains its tone and humor. So, back to that question. What defines the solar opposites? Well, we know what doesn't define them. They're not defined by their wealth or their sci-fi. Terry isn't defined by his comic relief status, nor his immaturity, and the replicants aren't defined by being losers. There is a pattern here. The status quo and established characterizations for these characters, most of which go back to season 1, are changed, but the show goes on nonetheless. But if these things don't define the solar opposites, what does? Let's take a look at season 6, episode 5, the Family Memories VHS mixtape. This episode is one of the most ambitious of the series, a clip show of the solar opposites fighting and getting into various insane scenarios, but always reconciling as a family. It's absolutely hilarious, as the show always is. But this episode also does something important. It clarifies its episodic formula. I discussed this in my previous video, but this episode goes out of its way to show what beats there are in a solar opposites story. They are as follows. The solar opposites are in conflict with each other about some silly Earth thing. This conflict escalates to insane proportions, but eventually the characters realize what actually matters is each other, and they make up. This episode shows us the stories that this show seeks to tell, and this reveals something absolutely vital. Solar opposites themes are baked into the show's DNA. No matter what wacky scenarios the characters find themselves in, every story ends with the characters prioritizing family. These same themes are abundantly clear in Korvo's character arc. Think back to K.M. Weiland's description of needs. The truth that solar opposites posits about reality is that family is what matters most. Of course, this feeds into what we already know. Korvo needs his family, but it's not just him. Every member of the solar opposites chooses each other in different ways over the course of the show. These characters will always choose family, and that is what this show is about. These bonds that the characters have cultivated provide the foundation for everything solar opposites is. The importance of family serves as the compass that guides the stories this series has told over its 63-episode, 6-season run. And the adherence to these themes is exactly why the show is so able to confidently choose change over its status quo, always revealing new sides of these characters while still staying authentically true to itself. So, what defines the solar opposites? Love does. It always has. And this season, no, this series is a celebration of that very thing. Thanks for watching. If I'm honest, I didn't know if I would actually make this video, even though I promised it in my last video. However, some very nice commenters seem to be interested in it, and I do feel a strong sense of duty to you all. Also, I've been rewatching this show a lot anyway, so I thought, why not? Overall, I really liked this season. Although there were some rushed parts, which isn't really the writer's fault, that middle stretch has some of my favorite episodes of the whole series. I really hope we get to see more of these characters. Even though Korvo's arc is done, this season has shown that there's always more story to tell with the solar opposites. But even if it doesn't get picked up, this show has had a really, really great run. 6 seasons of a streaming show is a rarity in this day and age, and that's something to really celebrate. Anyways, feel free to like and subscribe if you like the video. I do have another proper video essay that I've been working on, so stay tuned for that. Also, leave a comment if you have thoughts. I do read them all, and I would love to hear what you all think. Thanks again for watching.